Top of the 11th hour, and you are listening to the live feed of the INDIGIFIED podcast, which is sponsored by the Great Plains Action Society. You are tuned in to KWTN 100.9 FM, Allen, Nebraska, the Big Voice Radio, the official radio station of the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska. As always, the opinions and views expressed here are not of the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, the Big Voice Radio, or the Great Plains Action Society. I'm going to turn it over to our lovely Monica. Good done.
Oh, thank you. I like being lovely. So good morning. Hi, Nipi. Thank you so much for tuning in. So on this week's episode, we're going to be talking about today being the National Day of Appreciation for Abortion Providers. So this is a pretty tough topic. So I guess trigger warning too, I feel like is necessary because it could be a topic that could affect people in different ways. So going into this topic, many women were kind of caught off guard last year when SCOTUS had put in the process. Trisha knows the words. But they started a process of overturning Roe versus Wade, which essentially they effectively did. So now the rights as far as banning abortion or keeping it legalized and all the gray area in between is now up to each individual state. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to be getting in today. We'll talk about, how it's a direct threat to body autonomy and our rights as women. And then also how that could affect our future generations. Before we do that though, can we do our mental health check-in? How's everybody doing?
Burn it all down. No, I'm just kidding.
Paint it red.
No. So I just want to address this. I went to the Santee Sioux State basketball game last night.
Right.
And it was such a good game, and we were down, and then the boys worked really hard. And then we had this call at the very end, and to me, it was just like the same old story, the same old, But what I want to encourage is, to the Santee Sioux boys, this is just one little hiccup. And, you played your hearts out, and everybody is proud of you. You are winners every single day that you get up, and, don't let this knock you down by any means.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was just really disheartening because they really fought hard, and
they came back too from a deficit. I believe it was about a 13-point deficit that I seen.
Yep. And then
really hard work.
Yeah, it was just really disheartening though, and if you looked at the stadium too, there was the whole Native Nations came out and they showed out. So
yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say congratulations to them because there's no reason to head your head low on that because you are winners at the end of the day, and we are so proud of you. And I hope that the Nebraska School Activities Association really addresses that. Absolutely. Because this is not the first time that this has happened.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be talked about, especially when it comes to our students of color, our athletes of color, and our Native students and oh, sorry, excuse me. I'm so worked up. The Native athletes that are in Nebraska.
Right.
So,
and our schools that come from reservations.
yeah. So, but it was also a teaching moment too, as well. You know, that this is a life lesson for all natives, whether you're in basketball, whether you're in speech, whether you are just native in general, that we have to work twice as hard, and it's unfair. But once you learn how to play the game and you play it well, they can never shut you down.
Absolutely.
Never shut you down. They'll never
Right.
take that inner peace from you. So
Absolutely.
I just want to say that much.
And we have every right to occupy those spaces as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. And to the men's basketball, the high school basketball, just, you know, take it as a learning curve and get better next year. Be more disciplined. And I was always taught from my coaches, when we step on the field, when we step on the court, everything we do has a purpose. Everything we do can impact the game. Until that buzzer rings, everything you do, be accountable for, and just be disciplined, because, you know, it was definitely should have been a lighter call than a technical. But at the end of the day, don't feed into that energy. You know, play the game, inbound the ball, make a basket, get on defense. Don't foul.
Yep.
It's that simple. You know, so take it as a learning curve. Not saying anybody was at fault, but the refs did make a bad call. And I'm gonna just leave it at that, because, you know, we gotta keep the show rolling.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure.
But did we do a mental health check-in? How are you guys?
That was her mental health check-in.
I was like,
I'm
it
distraught.
inspired me. I know, I'm distraught, so mad. No, I'm actually doing really good. Really tired, obviously, from traveling to Lincoln. But overall, yes, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good today.
Good.
Good morning. I'm feeling good this week. A lot of life changes is going on in my life, and I did manage to complete my midterms, so I believe I did a good job. I'm more focused on I have a week off from school now, and I'm focusing on trying to retain the information that I'm given, because it's not so much of a pass and fail with my career. It's more of a get it into my brain, so that way when I step out into the field and bid a job, I can do the best job I can do.
Right.
And so I'm still pursuing that path. Got a week off from midterms, so I'm a lot more energized and a lot more prepared for our weekly podcast, and I'm just enjoying where life is taking me.
Right on.
Right.
And
How are you, Monica?
Oh, hey. So compared to last week, to my mental health check last week, I am doing a lot better. Similar to Brandon, I'm going through a lot of life transitions, but transitions are a beautiful thing. Sometimes they don't feel beautiful in the moment. Sometimes they're hurtful, but going through those transitions just opens so many doors for new, right? And that's the part to be excited about. Like, okay, there's new adventures and, you know, new ways of doing things and getting back to yourself. So I'm doing a lot better today.
Absolutely.
I
That's
call
good.
those moments the tower moments.
The tower moments.
The tower moments.
Why
The
do you call them the
beautiful
tower moments? Elaborate on that.
So the tower, I don't know if anybody's into tarot, but there's the card, it's called the tower.
The tower card.
And basically it's like this doom and gloom looking card, but also there's beauty in it, because it means that it's ending one cycle, but you can prepare for, you know, whatever's in the future. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of like
Shout out to the major arcana.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't know who that is. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
We'll put you on later.
Right.
Yes,
right.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're all doing well mentally. Icebreaker, because I love them. So, how many states have you been to?
Oh, man.
Man.
Not many, but Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota,
He got his little phalanges out.
Colorado. Man, I think I'm only... Oh, and the Dakotas. I've been to like 6 states, just around the Midwest. I think farthest I got out west was probably Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a felon, sorry. We don't get to travel. We don't get to travel a lot.
Whatever.
I've been to a lot of states. I mean, cities in the state.
Yeah. You gotta start traveling.
Been to a lot of camps.
A lot of world out there.
That's one of my goals.
Yeah.
I would say about the same too.
No way.
Yeah.
No
No,
way.
because you went to DC. Stop it. You've been to way more states than me,
I feel
Trisha.
like, okay, so I've been to DC, which is a weird thing in itself, is the
Right.
District Columbia. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm like, is this a state or is this
It's
not?
not.
It was
It's
always
its own.
It was always funny, like in like what is it, geography class?
Right.
Or like, okay, so what is
this?
it?
You know,
What are you?
someone told me
I'm
one
like,
time.
is it a reservation?
That's what
Like,
someone told me. America has their own reservation.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. Because
Right.
it's not governed by any states. It is its own sovereign
Yeah.
land,
Looks
but it's
a
still
lot
protected
different
by
than
the
our reservations.
Yeah, America had to go and get themselves a res, man.
we can't have nothing for ourselves.
No, I think it's about the same. I've been to Denver. I've been to Minneapolis.
Where'd you and your
Minnesota.
sister fly to when you got
New
stuck?
York.
Okay, there's New York.
New York.
When you got stuck, jeez, bringing up old stuff.
I know, trigger. Yeah, when we got stuck over
Your-
Christmas. Oh my gosh, never.
Amazing
never fly
holiday,
Southwest.
amazing holiday trip.
Yeah, no, I think it's been about the same as Brandon. I mean, I haven't really extensively.
I would have
like,
thought
traveled.
way more.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought way more too. So I've been to a lot.
Okay. All right.
So Texas, Colorado, and then I moved to Nebraska, moved to Iowa, moved back to Texas, moved to Tennessee. So those are all the states I've lived in. That's not 6 because Texas was in there twice, so that's 5. And then I've been to Florida. I've been to Georgia, Alabama. I've been to Louisiana.
Dang, girl.
I've been to Kentucky. I've been to
She lived in the
Indiana. Yeah. Wisconsin.
Okay.
When I was younger, we have a lot of relatives that live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
California, Nevada, Arizona.
Have you
I
made it out of
traveled
the country?
through New Mexico. No,
No,
I
no,
haven't.
just all in state.
I was supposed to go to Mexico with my sister, like over this week, but I just had so much going on, like emotionally and spiritually, that I was
Yeah.
like, nah, babe, I gotta sit this out. Like,
Mexico might have been a place to
I know,
be
and, like,
emotionally. I mean,
that's what she kept saying. She was like, "No, this is what you need." And I
Yeah.
was like, "No,
You're like,
I'm
"No,
gonna
my
be a
body's telling
drag."
me.
Yeah, like I need to be at home and I need to get recentered and regrounded. I go to Mexico, I'm gonna come back, everything's still gonna be a mess, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god." So yeah, no, I've been to a lot of states.
yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah, but I thought that was a good icebreaker because of the current statuses with all of these states, right? So we have 13 states that have a full ban on abortion. So there's no, up to 6 weeks, up to 12 weeks. That doesn't exist. There's 13 of them that it's just a full ban. And then I think we have 6 states that are like up to 6 weeks, and then like a handful more that's up to like 20 weeks. But then you also have states where the ban is completely blocked, that they will not implement it.
Wow.
Yeah. Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, Indiana, Ohio. The ban is blocked. But it's legal in still quite a few states: Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Alaska, Hawaii, New Mexico, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan. What is that? Does Michigan have more land? Or is like the water? It's legal in the water. South Carolina, Virginia. What is MD?
MD Maryland.
Maryland is so small.
I know.
New
I
Jersey,
know.
Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts, Maine. Ooh, I
So
said
it seems like on the
Massachusetts. Like I said
East
it.
Coast.
Yeah, that New England
Yeah.
Peninsula. Yeah,
Mhm.
they have it legal. So, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was my icebreaker.
Right
Do you
on.
want to jump into?
Yeah, so
What
let's get
today is?
into okay, so the topic today is reproductive freedom.
Mhm.
And I guess in a way, what does reproductive freedom mean to you individually? And I'm going to pose this to you, Monica, first, and
Yeah.
then I'll let Brandon.
So reproductive freedom to me is not just the right to abortions. Reproductive freedom to me is freedom as far as anything considering my right to reproduce or not reproduce. So, even because I'm 30 years old, and so I'll have people look at me all the time like, when are you going to have kids? And I'll be like, well,
Mind
I
your
don't,
business.
yeah, I'll be like, I don't really want kids. That's not something that I desire, is to have a family. And I know for like some of like my elders, that was like very shocking to them, right? Because they're like, oh, well, as a woman, that's like your job is to reproduce. And I'm like, okay, well, in 2023, I have a lot of jobs, and that's one job that I'm not wanting right now, at least, to step into, because it's a lot of work. But reproductive freedom as well is me having the right to say what I will or will not do, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Brandon, what about you? What does reproductive freedom mean to you?
Well, being a man, that term never really came to me a lot. You know, from my understanding, the females are the ones that give the birth, and I kind of stay out of that conversation. But I will say this, that I just know from my own family history that this conversation and this topic was never really popular in the past. You know, my grandma was born in 1934, I believe. She had 10 kids, and her sister had about 8 kids, and they got about 4 other siblings too. And so big families,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
that I come from. And abortion and Planned Parenthood, all that stuff didn't exist back then.
Why do you
know.
think that is, though?
I think it has to do something with women's oppression. Like she said, I don't believe this, but I have heard of, there is an attitude that has gone around in this country of like what Monica was saying, is that women are meant to make kids, are meant to birth babies, and you know, women had to fight for their rights to get jobs and get educations and be able to vote. So I do believe it was more of an oppressive, you know, because not only were minorities and Native Americans and African Americans and everybody else oppressed, but so were women. When you read that Constitution, it says all men were created equally. The founding fathers did not, to my understanding and my belief personally, I don't believe they intended to give women them same freedoms, just like they didn't intend to give us Native Americans them same freedoms. So you women had to fight for that, and I'm fully supportive of it. I just like I said, the reproductive freedom for a man, it's kind of a double standard, because as far as men, we have the opportunity to plant the seed and disappears, you know, so to speak. You know,
yeah.
and I think this is going to be a very eye-opening and enlightening conversation for a lot of men that we need to be a part of and listen to, because
Yes.
it takes 2 to tango and to make a child. So I think this is a conversation that I'm glad I'm here for. Glad I didn't miss my ride. And I just,
Me too.
you know, to all my men out there, just want to give y'all a shout out for listening and being a part of this conversation, because we need to grow as a people, and the men, we need to do our part. You know, we need to step up.
And I just want to say this real quick before we get into everything.
Uh-oh.
Vasectomies are reversible.
Yes.
And men can have them.
And they're same day procedures.
Yes.
And they're much less painful
I had a,
Yes.
than the
I had a
counterpart
supervisor
for
that
women.
did that once.
Yes.
He said that he didn't want his wife. It was more expensive for his wife to do it, and she wasn't covered on his insurance, so he made the sacrifice. He was covered, and hey, more power to him.
Yeah. And then
I
in the
g-
future, if they want to have kids, it's reversible. Whereas for women, it's a very slim chance to reverse like tubal
Interesting.
litigations.
Did not know that.
Yep. So what I want to dive into is the pro-life versus pro-choice arguments. So
Ooh.
pro-life argues that the baby, the fetus, the clump of cells is
The molecule.
Yes,
That's
the
what I call-
molecules.
that's what I
Let's
call
break
it.
it down to
The
atoms.
molecule.
Are indeed,
I should have stayed in science.
are
Biology.
indeed they are granted human rights.
Mm.
But pro-choice argues that women should have the right to choose what happens to their body.
Right.
And that means if they want to end a pregnancy or if they want to go through with the pregnancy. But also, when it comes to pro-life, I mean this full-heartedly. This is birth until the end of life, not just birth.
Right.
So, leading into that conversation, what do you think? What are your thoughts about pro-life and pro-choice? And this is just open to everyone.
So, I mean, I myself am pro-choice. With everything, I try not to be anti anything. So it's like with the people who have a pro-life perspective of things, right? I will listen to you and I will respect your views and your ideas. But at the end of the day, in my mind, I don't see how being pro-life is beneficial to the woman who is already alive, who is going to have to, you know, deal with certain things if she brings a child into this world. But also, I'm very big on like the hypocritical pro-lifers, right? The ones that are like, yeah, I'm pro-life, I don't believe in abortion, but, you know, I think women should be able to get them if they were raped. And I'm like, okay. Or I think women should be able to get them if they are like below the poverty line. Okay. Well, if you think it's okay for them to get them, then why do you feel like you have the right to judge any woman for getting them at all? Because you don't know what it is that's behind that decision.
Yep.
Whether it is something that's like big and, you know, a lot of people can feel sympathy for, or if it's just the simple fact that she just doesn't want to have kids, you know? And then when that comes up, people will be like, well, there's ways to prevent pregnancy. Yeah, and sometimes stuff happens, man.
It does.
Sometimes
it really
stuff
does.
just happens. And if you don't want to bear a child, go through pregnancy, carry the child and care for the child for life, our foster care system has been so full for so long. So then you have this idea that, okay, well, if she doesn't want the child, she should just give it up for adoption. Are you going to adopt her child? Right. Mr. or Mrs. Pro-Life? Are you going to adopt the child? Are you going to make sure that child grows up in a loving environment and all of its needs are met?
Yep.
No, you're not. But you're okay with it going to the system because then you never think about it.
Yep.
You have no idea what that child's going to go through.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's my take on it.
What about you, Brandon?
Well, you know, I've never, up until before this show, about 10 minutes before this show, I was never asked if I'm pro-life or pro-choice. I have experience with dealing with abortions. I was with somebody, and we just knew we weren't going to be able to not only afford it, take care of it. We weren't in a loving relationship. We weren't, just wasn't the right time or the right person. And she wanted to abort it. And I guess with my decision, I would have to say I am pro-choice because I supported her decision and I helped pay for it. That was a weird situation because like I said, I had to sit back and it wasn't my choice. It wasn't my body. I could have, even if I wanted to keep the child, I can only give my opinion or my, give my side of the story, but I can't make her or force anybody to make that choice.
Right.
So I do support it. And what that does not mean I am I'm anti-pro-life because I do have a son. I do take care of that child. I am not on child support. We have an out-of-court custody agreement between me and the mom, and it's a very beautiful relationship today. So I personally believe it is up to the woman because now I had a chance to get a little bit of a taste of that because during COVID, everybody wanted everyone to get a shot. And for me personally, I mean, I wasn't against, anti, or pro anything. I just wanted to stay safe. So I stayed in the house. I kept the mask on. I stayed 6 feet. And I, to this day, am not vaccinated, you know. And I know there were some celebrities and some athletes that received huge scrutiny over their choice. But I feel like in that same scenario, I don't want to put that vaccine in my body that was not long-term proven to not have health effects on me.
Right, so that's your body autonomy.
I believe due to the HIPAA law, with the HIPAA law being that this stays between me and my doctor, nobody out here needs to know my vaccination record.
Right.
Nor do we need to know what's going on in your life and how you got pregnant and what you're going to do with it.
Right.
It's nobody's business.
Right.
So with that being said, I personally now believe because of 2020 that we should have, as true freedom, we should be able to have a say-so in our own health, our own body, and our own future. Because like some of the things that Monica had pointed out, not being financially stable, not being able to provide emotional and mental and loving support to the child. Like there's so many reasons why some people just aren't, not to say not fit to be parents, but they just aren't ready or don't want to be.
Right.
And I believe everybody deserves that choice, because not everything is 100% preventable. They even tell you with the birth controls, it's not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I know some actual stories from women that had the shot, the pill, the bar, and still had kids. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about each one. I know a person that had each one and has a kid after each one.
Wow.
And so then it's like, what do you do then?
Right.
You know, they took the precautions. They did everything you said, and it still happened.
Right.
Then what?
And not only that, like, so Native and Black communities, especially for women, have been forced into sterilization.
Yeah. So
And
okay.
now I'm
Yeah.
like, now you're telling us that we can't, you know, like, we don't have access to abortion, but also, like, you sterilized us and it had harmful effects to our body.
Right.
So there's already a history of harmful effects on our communities. And that is, if we're pro-life, if we're talking about pro-life, and empathy and pain and things of that sort should be factored into that.
Yeah.
As a woman, no, I don't want that in my body. I shouldn't have to feel like I have to take birth control or anything of that sort if it is going to harm my body. And I know that.
Absolutely.
Or your mental health, because I
Yeah.
know there's some, the pill, you know, makes people bigger, and it messes with your own self-esteem and your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
mental health.
hormones.
Yep.
It's hormones.
Yeah, I don't know the terminology.
I'm happy that you brought that up, because I've been watching like the chat on like our live, right? And so when you had asked Brandon, when he was talking about like, you know, grandmother having 10 kids and her sister having 8 kids, and why do you think that is? And, you know, us not having access to, you know, Planned Parenthood and stuff at the time. Jamie had commented and said it wasn't talked about because there were forced sterilizations in our communities. Choice means the right to choose either way. So, yeah, so I thought that was perfect, because you went right into that topic as well, which is something that has to be talked about, especially within the Black and Native communities. Also with like Planned Parenthood, right? I am all for funding of Planned Parenthood, but I also realize from a historical aspect that Planned Parenthoods were put into certain communities.
Yes.
They were put into low impoverished communities, which at that time, those low impoverished communities were designed to be inhabited by certain cultural groups. So, you know, from a conspiracy theory standpoint, it was to keep one race as the supreme race, the highest population, and to keep the people of color within smaller birth rates. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I do want to touch on, let's see, like, okay, so if we talk about pro-life, that means birth to the end of life. If you are pro-life and you are saying like a fetus has human rights, you are pro-birth. You are not pro-life, because if you are pro-life, then you also should be advocating on better legislation that is not harmful to the transgender community, the LGBTQIA plus community. We have poverty rates that are skyrocketing, inflation. So if you are pro-life, I want to see all these pro-lifers also advocating for other realms of life to extend, not just the birth, not just, you know, the cute stage of human life, if you will.
Right. I just want to meet some pro-lifers that have adopted children.
I
don't know
I
one.
don't know one either.
Yeah.
So, so the pro-life argument too, as well, is I hear this: a woman shouldn't be having relations that could result in pregnancy. And I heard
the oppression.
and I've heard, you know, they should get married and this and that. Well, sometimes things change.
Right.
People change. Domestic violence happens. Rape. There's incest. And some states don't even honor that. If you are, you know, a victim of rape or incest, they don't even honor that.
Right.
You know, for you to get an abortion, you have to go full through with the pregnancy. And I just don't agree with that.
Right.
What do you guys think about that?
About the pro-life or the
Just that
the
women,
argument?
that women, if they don't want to have a baby, that they shouldn't be
I mean,
engaging in the act.
my my opinion still stands that it is every person's choice. Every woman has a choice. However, when it comes to that conversation, like, man, that's such an unfair statement to say. Because, like you said, certain things happen to people that is beyond their own control. You know, we have celebrities and people stepping out now saying that, you know, they were victims of domestic violence, they were victims of rape, and incest does go on in this country. And you know, with I think there was a famous rapper that he even said he was with his cousin and did not know they were related. You know, so it's a very unfair statement to just throw out at people as a
But it's not even just people. It's being thrown out at just women. It's not
well,
saying,
yeah, to be thrown out at women mostly, because
it's
that's
not saying men should not be engaging in the act that results in pregnancy. It's women shouldn't be. Because we are, there's certain words I can't say on the air, but we are shamed and oppressed from a sexual standpoint. We are not allowed to like, we're allowed to be sexualized, right? The media loves to sexualize
to make a dollar off of it.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. But in our day-to-day life, we are not allowed to be sexual human beings. We are to be women. Classy, put together women. But baby, I'm gonna do what I want. Okay. I'm gonna do what I want. Okay. That does not mean I'm gonna act like a man, or that I'm going to have these, I call them low standards that society has for men. I am not going to.
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
No, I'm listening.
I was like, what's up?
I was reading this and you caught my attention.
I was like, you about to what? You about to swing on me or what?
Oh, you got my attention.
I'm not going to bring myself down to these lower standards that are acceptable for men in the way that they behave when it comes to their sexual nature. But also, I am never going to shame a woman for what she decides to do with her sexuality. And it is nobody's place to tell a woman what she should be doing, how she should be doing it, and what she shouldn't be doing. Baby, do what you want.
Yeah.
Do what you want and do what makes you happy.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, if there's repercussions that you don't want to deal with, seek out help. Seek out resources.
Yep.
There's people that will help you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just believe, touching on that, let's just be the change we want to see.
Period.
I mean, everyone has the freedom to choose. I'm not telling you to be pro-life. I'm not telling you to be pro-choice. I'm not telling you to stay quiet. I'm just saying, for those that are pro-life, as you said, start showing it. Yeah. Start helping out your community with the poverty. Start helping out with the hunger issue, you know, soup kitchen. Start doing community service work if you're so pro-life. And for those
pro-human.
And for those that are pro-choice, be there and support your other I don't know what to call it, your other female sisters. Like, be there to support them in their situations. If you're pro-choice, help give them rights to the states that will provide it. Help give them, you know, whatever. I don't know. I've never been in those type of. Yeah, I don't know what they need, but just you guys would know.
Showing up.
I just believe be the change you want to see.
Also, too, you've been there too, though. You've actually supported somebody that made that choice. So I mean, it goes to say that men can also be supportive too, as well.
Absolutely.
For women that want to get an abortion, you don't have to be romantically or sexually involved, but you know, if you're a friend and you have a female friend that's going through something, be there, show up.
Absolutely.
You know, no judgment.
Be the change we want to see.
Yes.
So Jamie is engaging with us today. So she was saying typically most abortions are women with unsuccessful pregnancies, which are babies who die in utero. That is also like your tubal pregnancies, which are detrimental for a woman's health and could lead to death.
Yes.
She said it's rare that a woman doesn't want the pregnancy. However, in capitals, it doesn't matter if it was wanted or not. Everybody has a right to health care and autonomy. And she said she will die on that hill. Meaning she will stand for her beliefs. And I love that. Thank you, Jamie.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, because it is definitely a healthcare issue. It's your health. It's not only is it your body and everything else, but it affects women's health. You know, women. You guys can speak more on it than I can, but women's bodies and mental health and hormones go through dramatic changes.
Yeah.
And
your organs are literally rearranged.
To create a new life. And that was a very good. Thank you. What was her name?
Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie, for enlightening us on that. Because like I said, this is learning thing for me. I've had small conversations about this, but never in depth. And I'm very enlightened. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
One other aspect of the argument is personhood. So personhood is basically saying this fetus has human rights, but what gives a fetus necessarily human rights? What counts as a person? So the argument here is that the fetus is a human being, so therefore it gets human rights. However, a woman is a living human being, and she also has rights too. So in regards to personhood, what do you think makes a person?
Honestly, for me, I have to just stick to that birth certificate. When does your life begin? Not when you hear a heartbeat. They didn't say back in 1992 in December Brandon's life started. They said April 27th when I entered this world, 1993. That's when my life began. So, with that being said, I believe that's when a fetus or baby or whatever it is, properly called, that's when you become a human being. Is when you exit the womb, you take that breath. Because I know some of my friends, they have witnessed their child take their breath and then had to bury that child because they didn't make it. So I just go off of the birth certificate and the death certificate. You're not dead till they deem you deceased, and you're not alive until the doctor, holds you up, hears you cry, and then they take the time down, and then your life began.
Yes. Yep. What do you think, Monica? Or do you need
I
a little bit
don't
more
know.
time?
I know it's a deep. Do you see my face?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this abortion is actually a really. So I remember having this conversation at UNI in my philosophy class, and it was over a span of time where we had this conversation, and it was never fully like, this is what a person is, because it's so open up to interpretation. But I do like to have that question posed, because it's something to think about, especially when it comes to politics and, personal beliefs and religious beliefs and all of that blending together. So to me, I've heard arguments of a right-wing activist or debater. He's good at debating. So he was debating with a person who basically said, the fetus is a clump of cells and, whatever, it's not a human being. And then this person said, thoughts, consciousness, it has the ability to make relationships with human beings. That's what a person is. So the right-wing debater says, okay, so what if your dad or your, whatever, your caregiver, your grandpa goes into a coma? Do you have the right to terminate that life?
Right. So
in a way, yes, I understand that, but also that person has the ability to make, so if we're talking about an individual who is in a comatose, state, I highly encourage everyone who is watching or listening that you fill out all the paperwork, such as a DNR. I'm not sure whatever else there is,
like your deeds and
your deeds, wills, all that, because you are a fully functioning adult when you make those decisions. And so when things like that happen, then your family can make those decisions based on what you as a fully functioning adult choose to have what happened.
What your legal documents say. Because at the end of the day, those are legal documents that need to be followed. And the only way that they are not followed is if they're taken to court and the family can somehow prove that when you made these decisions and these legal documents that you weren't in your right mind. So do it while you are in your right mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in response to, you know, what makes a person, yeah, I wanted to bring that up because I just was like, man, this debater just says it with so much conviction, like, nope, this is what it is, and, you know, I'm sorry that you don't agree with me, and just like totally dismisses the whole conversation. And
right, he's very set. This is what it is.
But also, like, it's just a really hard time to get through because so many people are on this side and so many people are on this side, and there's a whole bunch of gray area, and it's hard. It is. But I am firmly a pro-choice stance because, again, it is my body, and whatever I choose to do with my body is my right to my own body.
Right, absolutely.
No one can tell me what I can and cannot do, and if you try to, I'm gonna cuss you out. Period.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah, that whole what makes a person thing, I guess it was just hard for me because I was like, well, like a baby is a person, but then when you think about like the ability to make choices, like
fully independent.
Yeah,
viable.
Like an infant can't do that, but they're still a person. But I don't know. For me, I'm just like in utero. Yeah, that's hard, Trisha. That's a hard one.
It is. It's very hard, and like I said, it's a lot of gray area, and you know, it does spark interest, right? Because it's like, well, yeah, I do know somebody that could possibly go into a comatose state. And then I think in his argument, he's like, okay, so what if they're in a comatose state for 9 months? And I was like, oh, damn, or oh, dang.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to pregnancy, there are a lot of factors that go into that. And I think that, you know, a woman should be able to choose what she wants done with her body. And if she wants to abort a baby, a fetus, a clump of cells, if you will, then she can do that. Yeah. She can absolutely do that. And it's nobody's business.
Right.
It's nobody's business because it's a woman's health.
Right.
So, what I want to dive into next is religious beliefs.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay.
So, a lot of the pro-life argument consists of abortion is murder. But also, if we're going to quote the Bible, then we also need to talk about premarital relations. And we also need to talk about eating pork.
We can talk about this tattoo on my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that as far as, you know, just religious beliefs or, you know, just that kind of mindset?
So, I mean, I think it's important for people to honor their religious beliefs, but I also feel like you can't pick and choose which ones to honor. If you're going to honor one, then I feel like you should honor all of them. So that's really how I stand. That's how I've stand on it for a while, like especially when the whole Roe versus Wade thing came into play. I was like, okay, well, I've got a lot of tattoos on me. So you're telling me that in my afterlife, I'm going to go somewhere because I don't know how it's said in the Bible, but I basically like destroyed my temple. But, you know, in this lifetime, I'm like, no, I didn't. It's a canvas and I put art on it. What are you talking about? But yeah, I do. I think if you're going to follow one law, then you should follow all of them. And I'm like, and there's some stuff in the Bible where, you know, people were sacrificing their babies on mountaintops and stuff. So I'm like, I don't know how far fetched that is from an abortion. Now you have this baby that's breathing, living, and can feel stuff, and you just like graphically murdered it. Right. They say sacrifice it, but you murdered this baby. Yeah. Yeah. So exactly. Religion is a funny thing to get into. You know, because I never ever want to disrespect someone's belief system. I think it's important that we all have something to believe in. But there's a lot of contradicting topics within that large topic itself. So, yeah.
Brandon, what do you think?
I stay out of all conversations that involve religion or anything of that sort because everyone has a right to choose their own. Just don't force it on me.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'm not going to talk about yours.
Yep.
Don't try to force it on me, and I will not even break down the this and that and that. It's none of my business.
Yep.
I don't pertain in certain conversations, and religion is one of them. I respect all religions. I participate in a lot of different ones, and yeah, everybody has a right to choose for themselves. That's another pro-choice thing that I believe is your body, your health, your religion, your faith. You do what you want.
Right.
I support it.
So I want to circle back to the National Day of Appreciation for Abortion Providers.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to all of them, and especially to the root workers, because really, honestly, in this time and age, we're facing a dark time. As women, we are facing a dark time, and women are always going to have abortions, whether it is legal or not legal or illegal.
Right.
It's gonna happen. Right. So,
but by them being legal, it makes it much safer.
Yes.
For us to have those. Yes.
And it's harm reduction.
Right.
When it comes to the medical field, that is harm reduction, in the sense of, offering safe, legal abortions. That is harm reduction.
Yeah. Versus your back alley abortions, where a lot of women lost their lives. I think specifically like within like the 80s, the 70s and 80s, that was very popular, were back alley abortion clinics, and those were not doctors, and those were not clean, sterile places.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the stigma, I guess, like maybe the stigma behind abortion. I don't know if I want to term it negative or positive, or, well, I guess it is. To me, there is a negative stigma around abortion.
Absolutely.
And providers.
Yeah.
So on this day, I don't know if we already mentioned this, but
no, we didn't.
Okay, so on March 10th, 1993, Dr. David Gunn was murdered by a white supremacist anti-abortion extremist. So as a way to honor the life and work of Dr. Gunn and all of the courageous, compassionate people who provide abortion care, March 10th became the National Day of Appreciation for abortion providers, and that began in 1996. And that's quoted from the Abortion Care Network. So,
absolutely.
Again, I think diving more into the negative stigma around abortion, it's always going to circle back to, like, it's none of your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What I do with my body, what she does with her body.
Even if you're in a relationship, it is still none of your business. I want to point that out, is even when you're in a relationship, it's still none of, you could be the father, still none of our business. As men, let's learn to just take a back seat and zip the lip sometimes. I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah. And then that's why it's important when you get into relationships to have those discussions.
Absolutely.
We get into relationships and we go through like this puppy love stage, and then before you know it, stuff is happening, and there's like these real life experiences, and you guys have completely different views on them, not even just pregnancy, but having kids, the desire to have kids is a conversation you should be having while dating. Because if you yourself want to have children and you're dating someone who doesn't want to have children, okay, are you going to sacrifice that? Or is it time for you to move on and say, hey, like, you're very nice, but I desire children. I desire to be a parent, and that's not in your plan of your life. So there's someone else out there in this world for me whose desires match mine. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, does anyone have any closing remarks?
Let me check the chat feed.
Yeah, and if anybody is listening or watching the live stream, if you have any questions or comments that you want to submit, go ahead.
Yeah, please do, because I watch for them. I like them. I like the engagement. Closing remarks: my body, my choice. Your body, your choice.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to abortion is very important. It essentially saves lives. And I'm like, I know there's the idea that it's ending life, okay, but it's saving a life that is already here, a life that is already established, a life that has already developed psychologically. So yeah, it's really my closing
For me,
remark.
I just want to say, for everybody out there, men and women, Just be responsible and be accountable for our own lives and our own actions, and make the best decisions that will put you in a position to achieve your goals, achieve your dreams. Don't let relationships sidetrack you. Don't let someone else's fantasy of a family sidetrack you. Like, this conversation can go in so many ways, but just some words of wisdom from my own opinion is just do right and just be the change you want to be, because it takes all of us to effectively change our community.
Right.
So just continue to stay blessed and continue to fight for the freedoms that we are fighting for, and continue to support those that, because abortion doesn't affect me personally, but I still support those. I support those that are going for it. I even support those in their decision to go against it. Like, I'm not biased. Everyone has the right to feel how they feel and believe what they believe, but don't be hateful. Don't be extremist, and don't hate this person because they are pro-life. Don't hate this person because they're pro-choice. Just my little words of advice is love everybody equally and just support everybody, because the hate needs to stop. How are we pro-life but we're trying to tear each other down?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How are we pro-choice but we're trying to stop your choice to even believe what you want to believe?
Right.
Let's stand on what we believe.
Do we have any events coming up?
My son's birthday.
Happy birthday, Leon.
Leon. I don't think I do. There is Faces of Siouxland on Sunday, and that's from 12 to
Is that
4
the
p.m.
multicultural fair?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
That'll be at the Sioux City Convention Center. I'm not sure. Do you have any paint and sips or at all?
I do, so I don't have dates established yet. So I have 2 coming up. I have one that was supposed to be for International Women's Day, but I had stuff happen that day and I couldn't make it happen. So I'll end up having that one posted soon. It's a pretty beautiful piece of art. And then I'm also doing one of a woman's reproductive organs, just to honor that March is also Endometriosis Awareness Month. So I do have those 2 coming up for sure. I also do private parties. So tonight I have a private birthday party and we're doing a paint and sip. So if ever that was something that any of our listeners would like to do, just find me on social media. My name's Monica Gooddawn and my company name is Moon Wellness and Company.
Hey. I do want to update everyone too as well. So we had the Native Small Business Entrepreneurs event in Sioux City.
Missed that.
And
it was
Where's the video? I need the video for that.
It's on Great Plains Action Society.
Sweet.
Shameless plug. But I think Ho Chunk Inc. initially kind of reached out, and then also Little Priest Tribal College. So we are in the talks of maybe putting a business workshop together where we can do like an idea session, create business plans, and get everybody connected to where they need to get to.
Shout out to me for filling out the suggestion paper.
I know,
because I definitely put all of that in the suggestions.
So, yeah, I was like, dang, is this Monica?
I recognize this handwriting.
Again, you can catch the INDIGIFIED podcast on Spotify, our iHeart Radio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We are on TuneIn. You can also, I think I said YouTube already, but
yeah, I think so.
Obviously, you can catch us on Fridays on the Winnebago Big Voice Radio Facebook page. And
Nothing better than live.
Yeah, I love the live.
Yes.
You get to see us.
Yeah. So we're also on TikTok. So that was something that was brand new, and Monica had a nice little viral TikTok.
Oh, am I doing numbers or what? Let me go look. Let me go tag myself. Follow me.
Yes. So you can follow us at INDIGIFIED Podcast, and that's on TikTok. And if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to be featured on our podcast, maybe you have a service, or maybe you just want to plug in and just maybe you want to just uplift your own self. That's cool too. You can email us at indigifiedpodcast@gmail.com. We are also open to any topic discussions or ideas, anything that you want to see us talk about, we
Yeah.
are more than welcome, we're more than open to
seeing those. Yeah, because
yes.
we have a list lined up of, what we would like to talk about, but also if there's something going on, whether it's just in our small community or something that's going on a national level that you would like for us to address and hear our opinions on, we would love to provide that.
Absolutely.
And then you can find Great Plains Action Society on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. So with that, I want to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Have a fun and safe weekend.